Hi everyone, this is Liz from Creative Life of Liz, and I am here to share my first quarter in my sticker planner. This is my B&R Paper Crafts Plan B planner. It is quite chunky now that we're hitting the end of the year. Not sure you can see that, but quite chunky. But today I'm going to show you January, February, and March, so the first chunk. Before I do that, I'm going to actually flip over so that it's a little more evenly split. As you know, it gets quite chunky, so when I'm looking at one end or the other, it looks quite off balance, so we're just gonna move it over. So today we're gonna start out with our January spreads. So the first thing up is my January monthly, and this turned out super cute. I love the gray and the blue and the silver hollow foil. This Simply Gilded washi is one of my favorite ones from the grab box that I got from them. It was just such a good washi, and I feel like it goes with lots of things. So I think it's super beautiful. Over here, I realized the other day that I forgot to put the last week of January in my kit's description, but it is what it is. Start of the year was chaotic as usual, as you might expect. We did a lot of curling. We watched a lot of curling. My sister and her husband had their wedding shindig. So super busy for that. We went to a concert with our local orchestra. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I have a note that says this month was 300 years long. So, you know, that was kind of how it was going, I guess. For the first spread of the year, I have this one from Lovely Planner Blog. Again, I'll do a little wiggle and a twerk for the foil. These bow ones are another Simply Gilded, and then this bottom one I think is from Michael's. But I love the kind of like yellow, the fun start of the year kind of colors. Definitely a really good spread, and I love the little corgis. They're just so cute. I find that Lovely Planner Blog kits just work out really well for the way that I like to plan, so that's nice. We spent a little time before the new year hanging out with some friends over these couple of days, so that was super nice. And then got back to work for the last couple of days of the week, and then we were watching a bunch of curling and things like that. Apparently my shoulder hurt, so not so fun. This second week, I think this is a My Planner Life UK kit, and again, perfect for winter. These kits have so many spots along the side for to-dos, which can really work or be really bad. It really just depends on how busy I am, but start of the year, always super busy for sure. I had a lot of work apparently. I went to the dentist. Overall, I think just a pretty typical week, but definitely a busy one. Moving into this third week, this is the Wedding Shindig week, Wiggle and Twerk. This is a Simply Gilded kit with Simply Gilded washi on the bottom. Definitely very foily. I think this is probably my most foiled spread ever, but it turned out super cute. It was a rough and busy week over here, but spent some time with family and did the wedding shindig and all that kind of stuff over here. So that was nice. Getting home was stressful. The weather was not so good, so flights delayed, things like that. And then this week, this is a B&R Paper Crafts kit, and I love how snowy vibes this is. I have been to Amsterdam a few times, and it's never looked like this, I can tell you that. But super beautiful and a nice kit. I think this week, let's see, went to the vet for Katsu. We watched some curling. Nothing too crazy going on, I think. We did go to a concert, an orchestra concert, so that was fun. And then this last week, this is from Vintage Glam Studio, another one where you have a really long to-do list, and another really busy week. It was Lunar New Year, a bunch of work kinds of things going on. Apparently a good chunk of snow since I had to shovel. But overall, I think this was fun, and I like this color combo because I think in my brain, I think of January as being blue and then February as being pink. So I feel like this spread just worked out really well for that transition week. Moving into February, I never use this blank page that just has a really pale dot grid. It's just not functional for me. This is my February monthly spread here. For February, probably our biggest thing was we were in Aruba for a few weeks, and then we were back and trying to get a lot of work done and all of that kind of stuff to get caught up and things like that. Lots of snow, it seems like, and some time with friends, all of that good stuff. So for the first week, I used this kit from B&R Paper Crafts. We left for Aruba on Wednesday, so did a lot of trip prep and a lot of work on the first couple of days. And then we had lots of fun while we were there. We drove all over the island, but we saw the lighthouse, we went to the national park, we ate a lot of seafood, all of those kinds of things. It was a really fun few days. And then we flew home Sunday night. Moving into the second week, this is another lovely planner blog kit. I do like the little food puns. Definitely fun for Valentine's Day. Curling, 2 late games, always rough. That's a couple of nights we aren't home till close to midnight. I love this Wonton a Million washi from Craftsmith from Michaels. It's from several years ago, but I still have a little left and it's super cute. Did a few catch-up things over the weekend. This third week, this is another lovely planner blog kit. Not a lovely planner blog kit, a B&R Paper Crafts kit. Very good for Valentine's Day. Very traditional colors. I like the art. Super fun. I had movie night with friends. Apparently a bye week here for curling, so that was nice. Dave had a couple of standbys, so that was time that I was on my own for things. And then this one is, I believe, a My Planner Life UK kit. Let's see if I actually wrote this one down. I did. So My Planner Life UK, another fun Valentine's Day kit for sure, and a pretty functional one to get a lot marked down for things I needed to get done. Overall, a pretty kind of typical week. Nothing too crazy going on. Did some tax stuff, things like that. All right. And then I have a blank week because there's only 4 weeks in February. And then moving into March. Here's the March spread. I always think of March as green in my head. I'm not sure if anyone else does. Probably because of St. Patrick's Day, but it's also kind of the start of spring a little bit-ish. And my birthday, all of that good stuff. Definitely the biggest highlight in March was we were in Norway for this week down here. But the rest of the month was mostly just kind of like regular busy stuff. Looks like we went out to an orchestra concert, had a few sunshiny days, some really windy days. So we had power outages, not so fun, for sure. And then some kind of meeting days and things like that that kept me pretty busy as well. Moving into the first week, here is a B&R Paper Crafts kit. Definitely looked like spring, which was really nice. Even if it wasn't quite feeling like spring yet, for real. Looks like I did some cross stitch this week. Really warm but storming. Well, that sounds like spring. Had a movie night with friends, which was, I'm sure, very fun. A couple of less fun days. I had a headache day over here. Did some kind of like functional catching up kinds of things. A concert at the orchestra and a bunch of chores and things like that over here. The second week, this was my second or third time, I think, using a kit from Chasing Shells from her Advent. And then these headers were ones from that same Simply Gilded kit that I used back in January. But this one turned out really cute, I think. And I really enjoyed this one, kind of using up the vast majority of what was left since I'd already used it a couple of times. It was definitely piecing together lots of bits and pieces, but I do really like how it turned out. Got to watch some spring training for baseball, which was really nice. I do enjoy watching baseball, so it's always fun when it comes back. And then over here, another day of sunshine. Always crazy in the spring here in Western New York. And then the weekend was a lot of just kind of catching up on things, wandering around Wegmans, and then power outages, apparently. So that part's less fun. This is another B&R Paper Crafts kit. This was more what it looks like around here. And then also we were in Norway for most of this week, and it definitely is what Norway looks like. We spent most of our time in Tromsø, which is up very far north above the Arctic Circle, so definitely quite chilly up there in March, but also super fun. We had a very catch up with all the things a couple of days, and then drove to Toronto and flew to Amsterdam, and from there to Oslo and then Tromsø, and then just walked around a little bit that first day. And then we did the Troll Museum and the cable cars, a Northern Lights bus chase, which was really fun. We went all the way into Finland. We didn't get back until like 3 a.m. or something on Friday morning, but very fun. Oh, apparently 3:30 in the morning, our bus got shoved into the snow by a tractor trailer. So we had to get put on another bus, but it did work out. And then we went to the Arctic Cathedral and did a fjord tour on a boat. And then from there, we flew to Oslo and spent some time there going to some museums and things like that. And spent some time eating lots of good food and things like that. And then this is the last week of March. So I'll give another wiggle and a twerk. This is a really old kit from Wonton and a Million by Craftsmith from Michael's. So I think this turned out really cute. This was a travel day here, and then we were back to work on Tuesday. So definitely a kind of crazy week, but super fun for sure. Once we got back, it was my birthday here, although it was mostly just like a work day and things like that. And then during the second half of the week, it was catching up on all the things. And then I had a full day of on-site meetings. I work from home usually, but a full day of on-site meetings. And then a nice weekend overall. That was pretty relaxing and things like that. So I think that was nice. And with that, I close out the first quarter. I think my favorite spreads in this first quarter were that January one from Simply Gilded. This one is just so shiny for sure. And then I also really like how the spread for Norway turned out. This one from B&R Paper Crafts. It's just very soothing and very wintry for sure. But let me know down below your favorite spreads from this quarter, or your favorite spreads that you did in your own planners, if you have anything you want to share there. Or if you don't have anything that you want to leave, I feel like something along here, leave me a little car emoji. I feel like we had a lot of cars show up across a lot of these spreads. So leave me a car emoji to say hi. I would love to hear from you. And then follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky at Creative Life of Liz. You will have seen already in progress and finished spreads in this planner, as well as bits and pieces of my other planners, my life, stuff like that. But also you can see things moving forward. And that is all for today. So until next time, bye.